Hi everyone, so this video we're going to work through our sideline sequence, working through a little bit of hip and glute strength. So simply we're looking at the medius muscle, okay, so it's a little muscle in here. So if you have lower back pain sometimes, this muscle here can be weak and needs to be strengthened. That could be an indication of that. They're also very good stabilizers for your hips, so when you're going to be a little bit of balance, single leg stuff like that, your body wants to shift the weight, it will help stabilize the hips and keep them nice and steady. So it's an important muscle group to target and to strengthen. So we're going to start off in our sideline sequence here in this video. So we're lying on our side, nice and relaxed. In our setup here, just make sure the chest is going to be nice and open, hips, knees and ankles are nice and stacked. So our target area is around here, and feel it around this part of the hip when we're working through the sequence. Again, if the legs are straight is too much, we bend that lower leg back to 90 degrees. What that does then is just gives the hips a bit more stability and makes it a little bit easier. So that back leg then is sort of your foundation to push on from. If your legs are straight, then your hips are going to be a little bit more wobblier, and it's going to be harder because you're going to engage more of the core to stabilize them. So it depends where you feel comfortable. The idea is to target this, so if it ever feels too much in straight leg, you can drop back that leg, or you can start that leg, drop back, and we can work through that to give yourself a bit better foundation on that hip area. So we're going for 4 exercises on this side and 4 exercises on the other. I'm just going to try and flow through. So we're going to explain our exercises now. So we're going to start off with our side leg raise. So this one we know is the one we lift up here and come back down. What we're trying to do here is control the movement on the way up and the way down as best you can. So we're working through the muscle sequence upward and downwards. From there, then we're going to pause the halfway point. We're going to bend that knee in and extend out through. So again, we're putting more pressure on the hip area as I push that leg out, and then we're going to go in there circles, and then we're going to finish off pulses on that side. So it's all targeted on that side of the hip here area. Keep an eye on your hips throughout the sequence to make sure they don't collapse and stuff like that. And we'll try and flow through. Again, if you need to take a recovery throughout the video and come back in if you feel you can't flow through it all, eventually we'll go up to strength. So it's a great wee sideline sequence that we're going to have and do at the house now and then to help strengthen that area of the hip if you want. So we get our setup correct here. Again, that leg is bent back or lengthened to make it harder. It's up to you. And we start off with our leg lift. So again, we're just lifting that leg up and down. So keeping an eye on our hips as we go through the sequence. The top hand can be there, just making sure they're stayed rolled forward, so they're nice and stacked. We don't want the hips to collapse behind here because we're putting in a bit more emphasis on the quads and using the sort of the hip flexor muscles to lift that leg up. If you feel the tension here as you lift, make sure your hips are just nice and stacked and roll forward. Okay, keep an eye. The top hand again can become the front to help balance as you sort of lean forward into that movement, and that will help keep the hips nice and stacked. But again, it's just whatever you find more comfortable. We're trying to keep the focus now on the side of the hip in those glutes medius muscles and a little bit of the abductors as we lift that leg up and down through the sequence. Again, leg can recover every time, or you can keep it off the other leg, so you're keeping the muscle under tension throughout the movement to make this one a little bit harder. So from here now, I'm going to pause about that halfway point, and this one here, try and keep the leg nice and steady. We're going to bend that knee back as you breathe in, exhale as you push out. So that heel coming in towards the glutes, taking a little bit of tension off that sideline muscle sequence. And then as we put the leg out again, it's just put more tension on. So you'll feel the harder version now coming out as you straighten the leg out, and sort of recovers a wee bit as you come in. Keep an eye on the hips, make sure they don't collapse behind as we do this. So as you pull that leg back, make sure your hips don't move. You're trying to keep this part of the body nice and solid. We're just moving from that knee in that flexion extension area. So we're pulling the leg back and then pushing the leg out. Again, you don't have to go straight with the leg if you feel it's too much on the hip as you straighten it out. You can just stop at the halfway point, make it a little bit easier if you want, or can you have that recovery and come back in. Hands, listen to your body, see how it feels, and just go as far as you can comfortably. A couple more reps here on this one now. As you come out in that extension, back in for that recovery, and as you come back out, we're going to pause and work into your circle. So again, we're trying to draw the circle the entire leg, but still keeping the hips nice and stacked. So start off with small circles. If your range of motion in the hip is limited, if you feel tightness in them hips, it'll make it easier as well. You try to start and draw with the heel of the foot and try to control the circle all the way around. So we try not to go very fast with this movement here, because you're sort of swinging up using the momentum. You're trying to push the muscle up and around. The slower we go, the more intense we feel a lot more if you slow it down, which we want to do, trying to get as much out of it as we can. Again, you can pause and recover and come back in if you need, rather than trying to go very, very fast with this one. Okay, and then from there we're going to pause and we're going to do a little side up and down now. So again, we're trying to pulse that leg up, work in that side, sort of bounce it up and down a wee bit just to get into the pulsing frequency of that side. Almost there on this one. That's 3, 2, 1, and recover. Fully down, tap it out here if you want, just a little recovery in that area. Or stretch it out and then out for a few reps. So we're going to bring ourselves into that other side as you rotate. So again, on that other side, now this side might feel a lot tougher because the other side, like I always say, is already being worked. So it's harder for your lower hip muscles now to help stabilize yourself because it's tired, that leg at the bottom. Again, we can bend that leg back just to give yourself a bit better foundation, making this sequence a little easier, keeping the legs long a little bit harder. But we're going to try and flow through the same 4 on this side as best we can. So again, making sure the hips, knees and ankles are all stacked, make sure those hips don't collapse behind, chest nice and open, top hand can be here or here where you feel comfortable. And if we're ready now, we'll go back into that leg lift, sequence up and down. So you control the way up, control the way down, we're just trying to work that other side of the leg and hip sequence, working through as best you can on the rise and the recovery. Just working through your own range of motion, but again, just making sure it's sort of the same line up and down, so we're not pulling that leg back, and again, pushing the hips back. We want to keep the hips nice and stacked, as disciplined as we can, trying to still isolate the side of the hips into those gluteus medius muscles, and just trying to keep the focus on that area. So as you come down, everybody pause, we bend that heel back, so again, going into that leg extension flexion. Same movement, we're trying to keep the hips still nice and stacked, nice and steady. The other leg is still off, there's still a gap between the legs, so we're not resting the leg down and taking the tension off, we're just keeping the leg up slightly. Extend away, hold back into the heel, extend away. Again, the further we go out, we feel it as you fully extend the leg out. You don't have to go all the way out if you're feeling too much, and you have that recovery if you want, and come back in on this sequence if you need that. We're just going as far as we can comfortably through this sequence. We'll do one more here, coming in. As we come back out, we're going to put that positive full extension, working ourselves back into your circle phase. So again, just as much as you can with the circles. Still keep an eye on those hips, making sure they're nice and stacked. Working through the heel of the foot. Top hand can be there for balance. Sort of keep the chest open. And again, try not to go fast and push through momentum as best you can. Try and be as disciplined as you can. We're almost there with the circles. Working that muscle all the way around. 3, 2, and 1. And we're just trying to go into our pulses to finish. Pulses feel tight here. Bend that last leg back. This will work into a bit more hip stability if you need. Last one on this side. Just trying to pulse it up and down. Little fast beats. Keep the hips still pushed forward gently. Keep them nice and stacked. Don't collapse it back the way. Almost there. 3, 2, 1. And relax. Well done. And tap. Excellent. Well done. So as you finish off the sideline sequence, we're going to gently stretch that area out. So we're just going to bring our back on the mat for the next one. And again, just starting off that right leg again, just gently bring that right leg across the left knee. And once we're there, we'll take the right hand on the right knee and gently push the hip and the knee out the way, and we'll get a stretch around that hip area, around that gluteus medius area. Just going to hold that stretch and gently push on that hip or that knee. Hold that stretch. Good. Releasing the hand, and then staying like this. We're just gently, if we can, lift the left foot up and in towards the body to stretch the glutes out. Again, if the foot doesn't want to come off, you can stay on the toes. Just bring it out a wee bit for a few seconds as they stretch deeper into that side. 3, 2, 1. Gently down and release. Switching over, taking that left leg across the right. And again, once it's there, left hand on the knee, just gently pushing the knee out. Feel that stretch and hold that stretch. Again, just gently add a bit of pressure on. 3, 2, and 1. And release. And again, just going to gently lift the right leg slightly off the ground, knee in towards the body. Put a deeper stretch on that left side. Our toes can stay connected to the mat. You need to hold that right leg for support. Just coming in for that stretch. Hold for 3, 2, and 1. Jet release, and just gently let those legs stretch out, away, and that is our sequence complete. Well done.